I think basically the main point, though, that I was trying to get at is that I don't want to talk about, I don't want to see, discuss, or hear anybody's gotcha moments as far as this whole Rittenhouse, racism, the economy, politics, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All it is everybody's parroting gotcha moments. They don't even know. They just heard somebody say something, and then they took it in as their part of their mantra, and now they say that shit. Like, I know, okay, hello guys, how you doing? We're just bullshitting and talking. I decided to turn on the camera, because think about it. How many different ways are they going to bring this Rittenhouse verdict to our attention? How many different ways are they going to make racism out of everything that happens in our world?
Basically, until niggas and crackers are warring in the street.
Right. Well, go back to this video here, right here, and watch it. The Helter Skelter video. They are trying to do that. Mm-hmm. But my opinion is that it's easy to think that there is a unconquerable dividing racism in the country. When you look at all the different types of people that are here versus the main group of, let's say, old white men that started all this, you know what I mean? That started the companies that we hate, right? Yeah. Or that people hate, that people think are dragging us down. Yeah. You know, the rules, the law.
I'm sorry.
The rules, the law. Say it loud, say it proud.
I'm sorry.
What was it? Because all I heard was...
Like
Viacom.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
All right, so...
Give a fuck. I mean, Viacom. You know, a parent company of Disney and ABC and ESPN and so on and so forth.
But no, I don't want to lose my point. Can I hit
that while you're talking?
Sure.
Thank you.
And set it over that way. Actually, there's a dude.
Dude.
Dude on the couch.
Dude over there.
Yeah.
Dude on the couch. So, when I'm... God, where the fuck was I? Lost it. Dude on the couch.
You're sick of this goddamn race baiting and all of this bullshit.
Right. Well, okay, here is my point. That the Helter Skelter thing, it's whites and blacks. Mm-hmm. And as a white male who grew up in Delray, I didn't grow up around a lot of Spanish people and a lot of Indian people, a lot of Ethiopians. Mm-hmm. For me, it was white and black.
Who you grew up around?
Black people.
Who?
Black people.
Who?
Niggas. So I grew up in this area, so I know what he wants me to say.
That's my nigga, you know?
You know what I'm saying?
That's my nigga.
Now here's the thing. To me, there's a bond there. Like, you may hate your sister sometimes for some shit they do. Mm-hmm. You can't change who they are.
Right.
But that's your sister.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess growing up with another faction of people allows me to not see my faction as the only way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you grew up by default in a part of the melting pot.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's just say I grew up
let me see it like, bro.
in a totally different way. I might find it unacceptable for there to be a people out there that acts different than me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I might find it to be triggering or something. That's what they're trying to do. They're looking for those people that get triggered by those type of things. So when I say I don't want to talk about politics and racism anymore, I just want to get this shit out of the way right now. Mm-hmm. All right? Everything they're telling you is racist.
Because
they're lying.
Basically, you tired of getting hung up on the shit.
I'm sick of the lies and the people willing to lie to accept the lie.
Yeah.
Because if you accept a lie, and you knowingly accept the lie, you're a liar. By default.
Like, I'm going to tell you something. I think people that outwardly project narcissistic traits will do that shit a lot.
Right.
You know, those are the main type of people that have a bitch of a time just admitting when they're wrong.
Well, they can't play devil's advocate. Let's do that real quick. Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate.
So, I want you to say to me that the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict was racist. Go.
Bro. gonna tell you why the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict was racist as shit.
Oh, okay.
Because,
we'll let him do it. You're the devil.
All right, because if Kyle Rittenhouse was a nigga, the moment that motherfucker walked up on the police that were told to stand down, now mind you, right? They would have blew that nigga away right there in the street. You know what I'm saying? They would have especially just the fact that he had a fucking AR. You know what I'm saying? They would have mowed that nigga down without asking questions. They would have shot first, asked questions later.
All right, that's race baiting. In my opinion, the reason that Kyle didn't get shot is not because he was white, but because he was trained with his weapon.
He was holding it down.
He had the weapon in one hand, holding down in safe position.
Yeah, with his finger.
Other hand up.
Yeah.
If anybody had come that way, they would have been treated the same. I believe so. And a lot of people don't explain that when Kyle did get to the cops, they put him face down on the ground and took his fucking weapon.
Yeah, they subdued him.
Right.
Yeah. But not by force.
And then he went to jail. Right? And stayed in jail. So this is not a case of...
Hey, he didn't get bail either.
This is not a case of, like, privilege here.
Yeah.
Just because he wasn't convicted of cold-blooded murder. Now, okay, let's go back. It's racist, right? They say there's racist connotations. I don't
really believe that shit, by the way.
As devil's advocate, I could say, oh, well, the SJWs movement started with Black Lives Matter, so... Like, in so facto, you are attacking Black Lives Matter by attacking any of these SJWs who are out there trying to defend the rights of African Americans to not get murdered in the streets.
By tearing up shit. By destroying private property.
All right.
Which is complete bullshit, but go ahead.
Right. So, that's the way that they can say it's racist. That's the only way. It's the only argument that they'll have. It's racist in so facto. Not he shot a black guy because he hates black people. Just whoever he shot, it was because he hates black people. He's only there.
Yeah, because they were there in defense of black people.
He's only there because he hates black people. Do I think that Kyle Rittenhouse should have been there? No. I think that the spirit that he has, as far as like, he has the same exact spirit as those SJW rioters. In his mind, the United States is under threat of a tyrannical ideology. So the rioters say, hey, old racism is destroying our country. Let's act. Right? Well, on the other side, it's, hey, rioters are destroying our country. Let's act. So anybody who says that Kyle Rittenhouse should have just minded his business better not support the rioters who should have minded their business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. When you really break it down to the nitty gritty. Yeah, I got you.
Right.
Can I take that from you?
I didn't even hit it. Right. Leave me alone.
Because goddamn it, man! Every time you get it, you just.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that Kyle Rittenhouse isn't a racist.
Yeah.
I can't call it. I can't call what a guy has in his head and his brain. I can't say that a guy who looks like Kyle Rittenhouse, which by the way, he looks like a larvae. Like, you know what I mean? Like, soft, white, little, like... Yeah,
little soft white meat. Like, it hasn't even taken shape yet.
That's what white people look like in fucking 5th grade. I'll tell you this because I know. Okay? I was a tiny little maggot larvae, right? That you could bruise just by touching. And all of my classmates who were African American were fucking...
would have fun bruising you.
McLeod. They were Lightning McQueen. These motherfuckers were Turbo style. They already had cuts and muscles and like fucking sideburns and shit coming in. You know what I mean?
Right, in 2nd grade.
And they would look at me and be like, look at that little fucking tadpole.
Looks like a ball. Let's kick it.
Right. My face still had baby fat when I was about to graduate. It took me years, bro, to like actually
for your nuts to
thin
drop.
out.
For your nuts to drop.
To chisel in. Oh no, my nuts dropped when I was like probably 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I was slanging down. I just didn't look like it.
Yeah.
I was like a tiny little larva with a big ass dick. And it's like the dick actually, people most times thought that was my body because I was so small as a little larva.
Exactly. You would have loved my 3-month-old monster
larva
cock.
dick. Monster larva dick.
Right, but no matter how big the cock, it was on a tiny larva baby. So like, you know what I mean? I got treated like, just
like
laughing
like a little piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like a little piece of shit. Yeah.
Like not one of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
wait. Before you continue, I just want to throw this in there. Now, imagine receiving that same treatment from your own kind. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
and it's not a. But that's the thing, though. If you only have. So am I making a pro segregation case here that in order for like people to grow correctly, like let's just say you were in a classroom and you and your buddies were all you and your kind, I guess, you're all in the classroom together and y'all are kind of growing at the same aptitude level, and then they throw in a bunch of people that are like not even nearly as physically matured as you, mentally matured, you know what I mean? None of that.
Right. Okay.
So that gives you like a distraction. It's like somebody to pick on, laugh about.
But see, that has to do with the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that what you innately feel when you see that shit? Like, ooh, I can pick with that, rather than who is that? Yo, hey guy. Like, you understand what I'm saying? It depends on the man. You know what I'm saying? Depends on the man. Cause it's like, because I give you an example. Like, cause like for me,
peer pressure too.
Yeah, definitely. Especially being an adolescent. Absolutely. Absolutely, that's true. But see, succumbing to peer pressure is a weakness. It's a fucking weakness.
Let me sew this up by saying that as a small white guy,
Please
right?
No.
In a black neighborhood,
yeah.
I'm one of the few that didn't give in to the pressures and become one of you.
Mm-hmm.
And try my hardest not to get beat up by becoming one of you. Now this goes all the way to today. This goes to today because those kids who grew up with those kids who grew up desegregated, those white kids are the same ones today who are still trying to convince you that they, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
cool.
they're tough and like you.
Yeah, and we're down with you.
Right, we're just like you. We stand up for you and all this stuff, right? Mm. God, man. So it's just like this fear of getting beat up. Basically, it leads back to a fear of getting beat up. So let's all just pretend that we're on this side. So when this side goes ape shit, pardon the expression, we don't get fucking mauled. What? What, man?
What you said.
Ah!
I know it wasn't pun intended, but it was there and it was still funny as shit.
The pun was there.
Because racism is funny, man.
Somebody could have said something, so I had to sew it up.
Yeah, racism is funny. I don't give a fuck.
I think so, too. I find...
That shit was funny.
The moment I hear a new, like white person joke, I'm fucking on it. You know what I mean? I just haven't heard very many new ones.
Okay, so the racist term for niggas going wild is going ape shit. Right? So what's one for white folk? Let's come up with one for white folk.
I don't even know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, we're perfect. I'm just kidding. There's got to be something. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something. You know what I mean? Like what? Like, oh, so I tore my wetsuit. Or
okay, no. Let's think about it logically. Okay, so what are some of the more common racist things that people say that white people are or are about?
Well,
just narrow it down. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so we got to start from broadness. Okay,
right.
Karens. What do Karens do? Ask for a manager. You know what I mean? Like, pretend the building is theirs. You know what I mean? Like,
I hate motherfuckers that do that shit.
They pretend like the building is theirs.
Want to act like they the goddamn door security and shit. Like, bitch, please get the fuck out of the way.
I think the most racist thing that white people do is be not racist. I think the most racist thing they do is try to not be racist. And the way because it always ends up being more racist. Here's a good thing. You ask white people on the streets, like, why do they think that, like, black people can't get ahead? They'll give you a bunch of reasons. None of them will say they can get ahead. They're just like people. No, they'll start naming off shit that white people do to oppress them. Mm-hmm. It's like, Okay, there you go. You're basically, by naming all of these things off, you're saying black people can't overcome. Because you face problems too. You face problems of having to impress your boss, having to pay your rent, having to get your bills paid. White people. Mm-hmm. We all face that shit. Having to figure out how to use the internet to get your shit done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But a white person will say, well, black people have less access to like everything, so they can't use the internet, and they won't be able to get their ID because they have less access to, you know what I mean? It's like, no, they don't.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. Like, I understand where you're going with that, but some of that has to do with, you know, the system. And particularly if you lose documents. Hey, guy. If you lose documents or you got a criminal record, you know what I'm saying, then they can really make it difficult for you. You know what I'm saying? Even more so with the laws now and shit with, like, certain fines and tickets and things like that can fuck with your driver's license, and they can really play with you. Even now, from what I'm hearing, shit like being backed up on child support for a while, like I think they just stopped it. Like they could suspend your license. You know what I'm saying? It's like, god damn, my nigga. It's like I'm trying to do what the fuck I gotta do, and you keep trying, you know, hold me down, fuck me down, keep putting like attaching anchors to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the fuck.
In a way, it's almost safe though. Like imagine if you're up there in the top echelons of business and people and society, and they all of a sudden put like ladders down to the rats, and the rats all just climbed up with you. Instead of like, you're a rat too, but you had to figure out the way to get up to the top and become like
the rat king.
Yeah, one of the elite rats, one of the people who lives up on the clean area. So, wouldn't it be better for us living up on the top levels to have a very strong, strict process to weed out the weak? We don't want everybody coming in our house.
I understand that, but see, the thing with that is like with the way that you break that down, like the problem with the hierarchy is that on base level, what you're talking about is, you know, being successful. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Being successful. The problem is that in this country, being successful is autonomously equated with wealth, right? And higher levels of wealth have astronomical political influence, and that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem, and we all know it's a fucking problem.
Dude, that's why I just want to get away from politics and shit, because those big problems exist.
I got you, but the problem is that with the way things are, the two are in bed together now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no way, like if we start down the rabbit hole, in my opinion, it leads to...
I don't even know why the fuck we started talking about this shit.
If we started down the rabbit hole of politics, well, because I think that the point was that we started talking, I don't want to, but then I'd like to clarify why it is that politics and all this shit, like the news and everything, is just biting me wrong.
It's poison. It's poison for your brain, man.
Right, and for us to be like, let's talk about it. You know how you know it's poison? Because I don't want to talk about it, but we just probably spent at least 5 minutes of this show talking about it. Rittenhouse verdict and all that.
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
No, at least 5 of it was spent about Rittenhouse, though. You know, if you broke down like the pieces, I would say that and I don't want to talk about it, but think about all the shit that's going on.
So how about if we just cut it there and say we don't want to talk about it anymore?
Well, I just want to get it out of the way. I'm done with the whole Rittenhouse thing.
Okay, so let's just say we don't want to talk about it.
All right, let's move on then. Let's move to what's happening in Australia with the COVID lockdowns.
Oh, I did see.
Does it matter to us?
I seen a clip on Twitter the other day, man, that Bama's was out in the streets deep as shit protesting that shit, man.
Yeah, they are. They're very upset about it. But let me ask you this. Does it matter to us?
Yes.
How?
Because they're still fucking human beings, too. You know what I'm saying? And what...
World police?
Morality police.
You don't want communism.
People police. You know what I'm saying?
So the world does need somebody to step in and change all of the different cultures to be a better thing.
Well, see, that's not what I'm saying by saying that. The reason why I say that, at least for me, I give a fuck. And like I said, it's because they're still people. You know what I mean? But even more than just that, but also based solely on the fact that there are people and shit, is that is an example for the rest of the world to see what the fuck could happen around the corner from where you live.
All right, so you're very close. Now, there's a reason I would say to give a fuck about it. The reason that you just gave is pretty close to my own reasoning, which is if draconian rules are taken over in other places, and then we're the only one left behind that's not doing it,
I'm gonna get fucking destroyed.
well, we'll get choked out. We'll end up having to. The pressure will be pressured into changing as well.
That or be attacked.
The pressure will be so immense. We'll be a void. We'll be a vacuum of ideology in a world of draconian law.
Right. So it would be like an island of rock, right? Of hard earth, right? Hovering just above the vacuum of a black hole that surrounds it. You know what I'm saying?
That's quite in depth, and
I know, it's intricate. It's deep.
I could see it in my mind.
I know,
with
right?
Watercolors.
Yeah, it's
Oils.
It's pretty awesome when you think about it that way, but that's not what this place is, man. This place is just as draconian already. You just act like it ain't. Like it's basically what you described earlier about the sub-level rats versus the elite rats, right? That is the system.
I'm gonna defend
with a mask on. With a mask on, where everybody's smiling.
I'm gonna defend America because there are people involved in organizations and companies that have draconian mind frame. They want bad things to happen to good people for their benefit. It's out there.
Yeah.
But the United States of America itself, what it did for the world is undeniable. As of right now,
but does that, like, how does that balance out with what it also did to the world?
Right. Okay. So we took this land from the Native Americans. Not when I say we, I mean the people who came before my family. By the way, I wasn't even here for slavery, so fuck all y'all. You ain't getting no reps from me. And
George Carlin said something funny in the clip that I seen. Like I had never seen this one before, but he mentioned that shit. He was like, the irony, like he was like about America's hypocrisy and shit. He was like, America is founded on slave owners fighting their oppressors to be free.
Okay, so is here's my point. Every nation in the world, same thing. There's not a country that didn't conquer to get itself. There isn't one. Though there were people living off the dirt and land, and then the government said, hey, square this off for us. We're going to light it up, and we're going to light it up with flags, and this is our spot.
Right.
It happened in every...
And then they just mashed the whole fucking thing out. Right.
Well, it happened everywhere. United States was just the last one to do it. And now, suddenly, there's a new rule in place. Nobody gets to conquer anybody anymore. Right? So when we see the Russia-Ukraine thing, they're almost one thing, except for the fact that they said they don't want to be. So since that happened before we made those rules, they get to be a thing. Same with Israel.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I seen some shit where somebody mentioned specifically Russia and Ukraine being a jump off for a war, and I was like, it didn't throw me off like, get the fuck out of here. Like it caught my attention. Like, where are you pulling that from? Like I'd love to read more. You know what I'm saying? It got my attention. Like,
Well, it just, I mean, honestly, dude, anytime you see conflict in the world, especially if the United States is involved at all, it's a jump off. It's a possible jump off.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got Ukraine versus Russia. We've got North Korea versus South Korea. We've got things going on all around the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got civil unrest in other countries, like, Australia. Let's go back to this real quick. They are basically, if there was no Republicans in the government, none, and the left got to just rule us, we would probably all still be in lockdown. Mask mandates would still be in effect. In D.C., they're not. In D.C., mask mandates are over. But if you're a company, you can still request and require it.
Especially for like indoor spaces. And
Yeah.
shit.
And I'm not fully against the mask during certain times because I do realize I did not get the flu this year.
Mhm.
I didn't even get the flu this year.
Mhm.
And it could be because whenever I'm around people, I got a mask on. That's possible.
Yeah.
During flu season,
Yeah.
it's a must.
Yeah.
But come on, spring break, at the restaurant, during good weather. No, come on. If it, you know what I mean? We have to live our lives. We cannot just go into draconian. They'll have us all in masks with our face covered so we can't see each other smile or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, just killing that personal connection, that interpersonal connection, that face-to-face connection that people have already been averse to with the advent of internet for a while now. So now they're really trying to stomp that shit out, man. I don't like that shit, man.
Well, it's definitely necessary for us to be able to see each other's faces.
I'm gonna tell you some
To
shit.
communicate.
I'm gonna tell you some shit that I seen too about motherfucking nigga posted this shit and then got banned shortly after that, right? Nigga said some shit talking about people that ain't been jabbed. He was like, government need to line the motherfuckers up and just tell them shot or shot. Stand over next to a whole shot or shot. I was like, what the fuck?
And some people actually feel that way.
Yeah.
It's funny because if you ask them specific questions,
It's like, God damn.
they would try to be morally right. Like if you sat down and asked them about like African American rights, those same people would be like pro, right?
Mm.
But then they don't realize that, you know, this whole jab thing is adversely affecting African Americans and some minorities like Islam way more than it's affecting anybody else. You know?
I'm
Because
sure for a while, like,
they don't want to do it.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Like, for some of the Muslim women and shit, it probably would have been easy for them and shit because most of them wear hijab and shit anyway, and some of them was even wearing the niqab where it covers all of this shit anyway.
Right, but
You know
they
what I'm
weren't
saying?
injecting themselves with anything.
I agree with you on that. You know what I'm saying? But like, for the Muslims in particular, probably the thing where it hurt them the most and shit was, you know, when they, you know, when in the, you know, fake me out lockdowns or whatever and shit, like they probably weren't allowed to go to Jummah. Like the Friday prayers and shit.
Well, that's the thing, though.
That
In
probably-
this
that probably hurt them
woke
more.
society, they would allow it. The only places that the news and everybody
Probably
was
not.
attacking were
Probably not.
white owners, gyms, restaurants with white business owners were in the news. I saw all of them. I saw that's what it was. If he had like a beard and he was a white dude and he looked like a white guy and he didn't want to close his
He
business,
looked like he was a Trumper.
put him on the
He
news,
looked like he was a Trumper.
right? But
Yeah, you know,
the
that's-
church
see,
up the
see,
road
that's
still
part-
congregated, and
part
that's
of-
Spanish
That's
people.
part of building a narrative. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? But with, you know, with the way shit was, especially in certain states, because you also got to remember too and shit. You know what I mean? Like most of what we know, what we experience is here. You know what I mean? Like being other places and shit. You know what I mean? You know, you forget. You know, they running by different rules.
Yeah, the rules change all the time, man. It used to be
That's
a rule
weird
that
because that's almost like traveling from country to country, rather from state to state in the same country. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's weird.
right. That's a big thing for me. Like, where are we going to be able to travel unvaccinated? I might have to go get some work done. You know what I mean, on my teeth, and I'm like, I'm not vaccinated. Who's going to accept me to do the work? You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that where it's like, did we become like the new second-class citizen?
Yeah.
the new minority,
Subhuman.
a subclass of people.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought, I was thinking that from the very beginning, from the get-go, I was like, they're trying to divide us and they're trying to push certain people down to the edges.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure if it's
Fringe humans.
I don't know who they're trying to weed out the most. Because I would think that, like, they would have tried to target people like us and get us to take the shots and have all, like, the masses survive and then take out only the hardheads.
Mm-hmm.
But then you might also think maybe they're actually trying to get rid of the masses and keep only like the strong individuals.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can think about it. Or, weed out the rebels. You know what I'm saying? Weed out the strong, right? And make an example out of them to impose your will on the weak.
Well, the Bible
That's
speaks,
the most tyrannical.
the Bible speaks of the mark of the beast,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mm-hmm. And it's not like a number they put on you or something like that. It's simply a way to mark you, a way that you can be identified when the time comes.
No,
Whether it's for harvest or
it's a physical. It's a
identification.
physical mark. It's a physical mark. It's a physical mark.
Now,
I'm gonna tell you something interesting that made me think about this shit again.
it doesn't have to be so literal, though. That's why I'm saying I think the mark is specifically something that can't even be seen by you or I. Let's just say, like, me and you are standing over a crowd of people, right? But then the beast is standing over here, and he can see everybody that's had the mark, and we can't. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing that,
like in a metaphysical sense,
right? Like, let's just say your DNA is altered. You know what I mean? So he can scan it and see like who's got the altered. Everybody's got the mark over here. You know what I mean? Like,
Altered Beast. Remember that game?
yeah,
Altered Beast.
you got to like turn into the.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how my brain is just not good. You know what I think I'm gonna do? No weed like December or something like that. No dank December. Something, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like, I want to do something and just try a new way. I've already been working on my physical health.
How about no cigarette December?
Yeah, well, I also want to have no jail December. So if I don't cigarette, I might kill somebody. You know what I mean? Then be in jail. So
Okay.
if I don't smoke cigarettes, but I did cut back on that. You know, I'm trying to better myself. Listening to all this shit that's going on in the world though doesn't better me.
Yeah.
But
It wears on you.
yeah, but also it could sneak up on you. Like we're talking about like Australia, then then Germany, and then this place, and then all of South America, and then all of a sudden America is the only place left that's like, we want to be free. You know? That could sneak up on us with us not caring, but I think it's just time to heal. I really, personally, I think it's time to work on your personal selves, break away. Anybody that you've been told is bad, ignore that from now on. Because, think about it, you're bad too. Everybody's bad sometimes, you know? Don't fucking try to point people out now all of a sudden.
Being bad sometimes doesn't necessarily make you bad. You know what I mean? Like, for example, and I'm going to use the game you played as an example, Fable. Right? You know, between making your character light or dark. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right? You can make your character light, still do some bad shit, but it doesn't corrupt you. You know what I'm saying? But you can still be way fucking worse. You know what I mean? So doing bad shit sometimes doesn't make you bad. You know what I mean? It makes you fucked up.
Well, let's stay on the Fable reference, because you're playing Fable, right?
Never played that shit.
No, I'm just saying, if you're playing it, you can choose to be good or bad, right? Some people just love to be bad.
Yeah, it's true.
Take that into the real world, then you got what we got to deal with. That's what we have to deal with. Like, no matter how good we get at honing in the things and making the rockets or whatever.
Was it Abraham Lincoln that said if you want to test a man's character, give him power?
Yeah. Was it him? I don't know, but it's a real statement.
Yeah.
I will attest that it's an actual statement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Dave Chappelle, through his James Brown, was it James Brown he did? Fuck your couch.
Oh nah, fucking goddamn Rick James.
Rick James. Damn it, man. I wish I wasn't. I didn't brain fart there because it's one of my favorite. You know. Fuck your couch. But he was like, they should have never gave you niggas money. You know what I mean? I was like, they should have never gave you niggas money.
Yeah.
You know why? Because that shit turns people into fucking devils, man. That's the devil's lettuce, man.
What? Greenbacks?
Money is the devil's lettuce, not weed.
Yeah. Weed is a healing, man. That shit is a herbal remedy, like shit.
It could be, but I also think that if I was being completely and totally honest with myself, it is toxic. So if I want to be completely, fully healthy, I would just be like, okay, water, gut health. Just work on my gut. You know what I mean? Gut health's the most important thing. I heard that we don't think with our brains, that our stomach actually is where like all of the neurons go off and like tell you to think. Your brain's more of like a factory that creates chemicals and
Olfactory.
yeah, it's like a factory. It's basically like that's the transmitter. So the electricity goes up in your brain, but it's coming from your stomach, but it's just being processed here and then sent out to your body.
Then that would that would speak to chakras,
Yeah.
specifically the root chakra.
All right, let's do a whole episode on that. Until next time, people, stop fucking being so political. Just stop it. We don't need it anymore.
We don't
right?
want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about it.
We're not going to. And I hope that you don't either. So this is probably the last episode you're going to hear about that. You know what I mean? If you want to work on something, work on yourself. Right? Because I want to meet you, and I don't want to meet you in the state that you're in, probably.
Come as you are.
God, man, it's the vulgarity. Always with the vulgarity.
Come as you are.
You know what I mean? Always with it.
Nah, come as you are.
Always with the vulgarity. That's okay.